Hello everybody, welcome back. Today is December 13th. We're doing robot and nonsense for the end of your week. This is your reminder to continue shopping and get your Christmas shopping done because you never know when things are going to ship. That's a reminder for myself as well because I have not done any Christmas shopping as of this recording.
Ouch.
Yeah.
Who's going to carry the U.S. economy, Kristen?
Not me. I don't buy enough.
Clearly not. Well, over at Meta, they have the Llama large language model.
Llama.
And they tell you that it's good, and then they'll tell you it's better than some of the other ones, but some maybe embarrassing details have leaked.
Meta uses GPT-4 alongside Llama for in-house code tooling. Basically, maybe comparisons, like which one's doing a little better. We've got some stuff we need to tweak. What's going on with this?
They got their own version of Copilot. I can't remember what they call it. But if you work there, all your stuff is going to be in GPT. And here's an interesting one that has to do with power. Now, remember how we're not allowed to track Taylor Swift or Elon Musk's jets? This is kind of like that.
ChatGPT refuses to say one specific name, and people are worried. Well, not just one specific name.
There's a couple, yeah.
Turns out there's more than one. And this might be just bugs, or it might be a problem with trying to get it to align because they did lose a lawsuit.
I think we know. Perhaps. I think we know specific. Like that's confirmed now, right? The name is David Mayer. There is a David Mayer Rothschild, which one of the richest families in the world. A lot of people thought that, but it turns out this is probably one of those lawsuits where it's like right to forget type of thing, and so there are a number of names. And ChatGPT doesn't say, "Oh, I'm not willing to talk about that" or whatever. It's just that whenever it hits that name and its response, it stops. And you can't go forward. You have to start a new chat. Just will not play ball with that.
You're rustling in the bushes.
No.
And another Lord of the Rings named company has turned out to be awful. Isn't that an amazing trend?
OpenAI partners with a weapons startup, Anduril, on military AI. We've covered them before.
How do you pronounce it, Krista?
I think it's Anduril.
Anduril.
I think. I'm not great with Elvish.
But you should be.
I should be, but I'm not.
You should work on that. So, yeah, remember when OpenAI was not going to be part of the military?
Well, it's a little bit.
Weapons?
Can have a little part of them.
I mean, they're not even doing the Google thing where it's like, well, we'll give them some cloud services, or the Microsoft thing where it's
straight up.
Yeah, we'll give them some VR helmets, keep them safe. These guys are like weapons. We're doing weapons.
Wasn't IBM the OG people? It's like, listen, we just keep spreadsheets. We don't have anything to do with murdering people. We're just the company that sells you some spreadsheets.
Yeah, they kept those trains running on time. That may have been a bad move in retrospect. And how do you monetize your AI? I mean, you are consuming insane amounts of water and electricity. Somebody's got to pay for that, right?
OpenAI looks at chatbot ads. So your chatbot can look at what you're doing on the web page and say, "Oh, would you like an ad for this thing that you're doing? You're on this article about technology. Would you like some technology ads?"
I like till they start inserting comments in your code.
Yeah.
It's like, "Oh, you should go to this website and buy some products."
I saw last night on Reddit, I was browsing the television subreddit, and like every now and then I would see a word that was underlined, and I was like, "Shit, do I have a virus?" And then I started firebugging it and looking at the little link, and then I clicked on it finally because I was like, I don't know what this is, and it pulls up suggested posts in relation to that topic. So one of the things that was underlined was LOTR, and then it was like, oh, show posts from, and I was like, who asked for this feature? I thought something was wrong with my computer.
The corporate masters.
Yeah,
that's who asked for that feature.
So now you're just gonna get links randomly in your Reddit feed.
And AI is replacing workers, but how long until AI replaces even the personalities?
Only News' headline is Amouranth's AI twin is the hottest thing online right now. Amaranth is like a OnlyFans influencer, like one of the OGs. I don't know. And so there's an AI.
The weird thing about it is, and this is probably just fake, right? But a lot of people are praising it in these quotes. And Only News is painting this as a really good thing.
It's probably not great for her, considering it's like her likeness.
No, she's running it.
For now.
This is supposed to be like, hey, Amouranth is too popular for me to ever interact directly with her, right?
This is the pleb tier.
Yeah. Or sometimes she has to sleep, but I need 24/7 Amouranth, so now I can go and I can talk to the AI.
This is the culling bot, and if you're worthy, it will pick 1 out of 1,000,000, and then you can.
This is a Black Mirror episode.
I'm sure she's doing quite well from it. And if you work in music, but not just music, it turns out any kind of sound engineering, it's time. This might be your last really good Christmas. Enjoy it.
The Guardian's headline is Music Sector Workers Lose Nearly a Quarter of Income to AI in the Next 4 Years, Global Study Finds. So experimenting with this on some of our hardware, this kind of thing, it turns out that if you just have a little bit of Python experience, you can cobble together some stuff from Hugging Face, and you can literally do something like, hello computer, I would like something vaguely like the ambiance of the Star Trek engine noise, which is the closest thing that I can appreciate to music. And it can do it. And so I imagine it's like, hey, I would just like some jazz, to just some low-key jazz to have on as background ambiance that's about 8 or 9 hours long. The AI can just synthesize that, and that's more than enough to make some people happy.
And we all know that AI is infecting everything that we use. One of the biggest ones maybe that everybody touches is the Google search. And you get those AI summaries up top. How accurate are they? And maybe a better question is, who actually uses that? Now we now have the answer. Journalists.
The Verge's headline is Stop Using Generative AI as a Search Engine because,
Because it hallucinates. And so we have several articles and tweets and so forth from journalists who were pointing out past presidential pardons, because we have the Biden pardon. It's like, well, but is this a precedent? When has this happened in the past? And the AIs hallucinated the same things. They said Neil Bush, who is apparently a nephew of George Bush, no one can find any proof of that. No one, and there was another one, I can't remember, was it like Roosevelt? Oh, continue reading with a Verge subscription. But yeah, this thing found and reported several things repeatedly that no one can confirm. Now, pardon records are not great, so we don't have Library of Congress doesn't have a list, I guess. But these other
Which
people...
seems like an oversight in hindsight.
The person at The Verge went through their vetting process that they went through as a journalist, and they're like, I can't find anything. And people just went with
quoting it, yeah. They keep moving the web tab further and further down that slide every time I do a search.
If only the Internet Archive had tons of money to just scan and digitize all these old newspapers, and it was published in a newspaper at some point as factual.
So apparently, I believe the only real family member one is Clinton. He pardoned his brother. There was some, I think maybe spouses and some non-family members. In-laws, maybe. But those are the only two.
Everybody's got a black sheep.
And we learned this last week when we learned that Germany had taken over, or China had taken over Germany's spot. But number one by a long shot was South Korea. And this is just illustrating that.
South Korea becomes the first country to replace 10% of its workforce with robots.
Is that Flippy?
Maybe.
I can't tell.
It's not a lot different than Flippy. Oh, yeah, because it's doing the fries.
It's Flopper. It's the off-brand.
So, yeah. 10% of the workforce in Korea, robots.
And it's only going to go up from here.
That's crazy.
Especially when we can do mass production. There's I don't know if it's, somebody sent me a link to a thing. There was one of those companies that produces motors in Singapore, and they've grown by 400% every year for the last 4 years. And now they only make they went from making 16 kinds of motors to 2. And they are making motors as fast as they possibly can that are all actuators for robots.
Well, if you're wondering when OpenAI and Anduril get together, what kind of things are they going to be making? And I suspect it'll be this kind of thing.
Texas legislators think drones armed with tasers and pepper spray will stop school shootings. Yeah, we're quickly headed to a future where you've got the sprinkler system, but then you also have the drone micro dart system where somebody just hits the e-stop button in the principal's office and everybody gets shot with a trank dart.
It's like a tornado drill, but just a trank drill.
And that's going to be a foot or perhaps a whole leg in the door to we police everybody with drones.
Yeah.
That's so cost effective.
It's not discriminatory because everyone gets knocked out.
Yeah.
Or, you hit the e-stop button and you get the Neurozine gas and everybody's passed out on the floor or whatever.
A little nap time.
Why can't we keep any teachers?
Yeah. I
don't understand.
If we had that, there would be schools rolling that out tomorrow. And we hit the e-stop button and everybody goes to sleep and we sort it out later.
You know where I bet you could get a lot of installs for this right now? Executive boardrooms. Something tells me they're going to be investing.
What if there's I think they would probably do it as like a crowd suppression thing, like just around the buildings. Like they hit the button and the building just goes, and it
farts out some gas and knocks everyone out.
Yeah, it's just like, sorry if we accidentally put you to sleep. You'll be fine.
Or you won't. We don't care.
Basically. I mean,
we'll be fine.
Yeah.
They already didn't care, as evidenced by the 90% of claims rejected.
They'll gas you, and then when your liver shuts down from the gas, they'll deny your claim.
I don't know why this keeps happening. People keep attacking our office buildings.
And maybe it won't be drones eventually. Maybe it will actually be bipeds.
Meet Clone Alpha, a humanoid robot built with synthetic organs and artificial muscles.
So it can be killed.
So it doesn't exist yet. That's the real story here. But they do have a little preview.
It's just people in costumes.
No, they got one that's like shows the guts. Yeah, here you
go. It's a little bit Westworld, isn't it?
Yeah, kind of Lovecraftian with all the cables.
Yeah.
He's
trying to give you a hug. Oh.
Actually, just after college, I experimented with ferrofluids and like piano wire, basically, and little bladders filled with ferrofluids and coils of wire. And
I think there's music playing.
It's Boiler Snake.
Boiler Snake, yeah.
Oh, I thought it was the headphones.
That was playing music. I muted it.
It was wildly inefficient energy-wise, but it's really cool being able to build a muscle-like actuator from ferrofluid.
This is a press release from the company, but I didn't find another story in it that it wasn't paywalled. And it's only one thing we're telling you here about the robots.
Next stop, Miami. Waymo is coming to Miami, because of course it is. Actually, that makes sense, because except for the rain, Miami is a perfectly reasonable destination for robot drivers.
The weather's lovely,
Except for
lots to do.
Except for the hurricanes and tornadoes.
The nightlife, the people puking in the back of the Waymos.
Yeah, but you just send your Waymos to a parking garage on the top floor. They can wait it out. If a branch goes through the windshield, who cares? Doesn't matter. There's no driver. Moving on to the nonsense section. This one was interesting just because of, superstition almost killed a man. Because people were like, oh, what could that be? Definitely ghosts.
Chinese man trapped in well in Thailand for 3 days as villagers mistake his cries for help as a ghostly sound. It's just like, we'll just leave the forest alone.
Did a dog come along and tell them someone was in the well?
No, it was people.
This was apparently near the border, and apparently this person was not a citizen of this country, that they had wandered across the border and gotten lost in the woods or something. And they fell down the well, and they were there for 3 days.
3 days down there in the cold with a broken wrist.
Ooh.
Yeah. And he was screaming the whole time. He described how it was an emergency.
Yeah, I don't know if they can hear that, but
I think they'll hear that one.
It's a design emergency.
He described how by day 3, he had to, I don't know how he told the time, but he had decided he could only have the energy for screaming once per hour. But it finally worked.
Somebody yelled back. It finally worked when someone yelled back. And then he said, oh, I can hear someone yelling. I will yell more.
And here's a story that came out last month, but for some reason got a resurgence of attention this week. I don't know why, but people started to really repost this.
The headline was, Anthem, Blue Cross, and Blue Shield will not pay for the complete duration of anesthesia for patients' surgical procedures. They'll only pay for whatever they've deemed to be a reasonable amount. But then they immediately walked it back after the events of last week.
Yeah, I was going to say not immediately. This happened last month. It took them a while, but something happened.
And then immediately,
they were like, "Oh, should we not have done that? Did people not like that?"
Some kind of agent of change.
I don't, it's like given a choice of like the greedy anesthesiologist or the greedy insurance company is like, which one of these is going to decide how much anesthesia I need? It's like I would rather have the people with the medical degrees that are operating on me decide as opposed to the people with the medical degrees paid by the insurance company.
Bad day to be a redhead. Don't redheads they need higher anesthesia than most people?
I didn't know that.
My mom is a redhead. When she's had to be put under, they have to like dose her higher.
That's not allowed under the new regime.
Yeah.
All the redheads will be killed because they cost too much.
Maybe the redheads will be like more resilient to the robot tranquilizers later on.
When we're all attacking the insurance buildings, my mom will stand tall.
She'll be the front line.
She's got a shield. She's a tank.
But we will need some new way to fight the robots, and I think mutation is really the way to go. We need werewolves among our ranks.
It turns out baby's werewolf syndrome has been linked to the parents' baldness medication. So these extra hairy babies are somehow, yeah.
Ooh.
Turns out, if you stop using it, the baby hair goes away almost immediately. So it's not permanent. But they do think there might be some permanent liver damage.
Oh.
So probably should avoid that. You just have to accept it. There's no escape from it. You can use all the creams and potions you want. It ain't going to change it. And when do people get too old to make their own decisions? It's a tough question, and it's going to become tougher because the world is getting really old.
Tempers a spill over as elderly residents revolt against the booze ban. And this is the Dutch news, and I was like, okay, yeah, I've seen some pretty rowdy, drunk, elderly people that they've got a lot of demons and skeletons. Like, I get why the nursing home might have wanted to do this. Beer and stuff like that is fine. This was like scotch and hard liquor, and also in the common area. If you want to do that in your room, it was fine. But like in group activities, apparently there was a problem with people drinking really hard alcohol.
Just being wasted in the old folks' home playing bingo.
If there's a time in your life that you should be pounding really hard alcohol, it's when you're old.
Yeah, I kind of like, they're of age.
Yeah. But they also remember they were talking about like they had a problem with syphilis in the nursing home spreading. Like, okay, let's just treat it. I mean, they're having a good time, right? And here's a terrifying thing. Now, I don't know how prevalent this is, or it could be fake, I guess, but it is just a horrific reality that you might be facing when you're at a Walmart.
Walmart worker warns of the danger lurking in store restrooms. If you want to be safe, check this one thing out. This might not be Yahoo News clickbait, or it could be Yahoo News clickbait. There's all kinds of like little blood speckles on the roll of toilet paper here, and that is apparently drug users cleaning their needles on the side of the toilet paper, which is very bad because you might not notice that if you're using the toilet paper the new way, or the normal way.
I was thinking more like bed bugs, but that's also terrifying.
Yeah, this is, if you wanted to ever talk me into sort of a panopticon surveillance society with Dr. Manhattan style, death penalty, this is how you would do it.
But it would be so easy to just tear off a piece, right?
It would be, yes. And someone that doesn't
Why
have the
would you,
wherewithal
yeah.
to do that will be instantly Dr. Manhattan.
If only our IV drug users would be more considerate.
There's a reason though. I typically don't like to go to the bathroom in a public place. I will only do it if I absolutely have to.
There's lots of I don't think anybody's looking to do that, right?
Some people are like, "Oh, I'll just run to the bathroom wherever." And I'm like, "Who are you?"
Well, I mean, if it's better than not doing it, but
I'll hold it. I'll go home.
Is it because of that reason, or
just in general? I don't want to be in a public bathroom.
Well, I mean, no one does. That's not true.
Obviously, some people do. Some people having a great time in the public bathroom.
Some people getting really high in the public bathroom. And the leader of the free world, still for some time, he's all turked out.
The Telegraph headline is "Watch Biden fall asleep at a meeting with African presidents," and the video sure does look that way.
Here we go. Yeah. He's a little sleepy.
He is 82.
I mean, to be fair, if you sent me to an African political thing, I'd probably
political thing. I'd just be like, I don't.
So boring, but I mean, it is his job. He has benefited greatly from having this job. I think he could maybe
also 82. He probably should have retired about 10 years ago, maybe 20.
I think he did retire a couple of years ago. Somebody else is making the decisions. And this young lady is, a wolf in sheep's clothing for sure.
Italian nun arrested over links to powerful mafia network. The Guardian says that Italian authorities figure she's how some of these gang members are controlling their gang from inside of prison. She's ferrying messages back and forth.
Because Italy, very Catholic, obviously. You can't deny someone their religious representation, even if they're in prison. And she took advantage of that.
Was that a plot point in The Sopranos? I've never gone back to watch that.
I don't remember any nuns. There was Polly Walnuts found out that spoiler alert, that his mom wasn't really his mom. But his mom actually abandoned him and became a nun. Messed him up mentally.
I have not ever gotten into. I've been meaning to start watching that because I watch TV while I'm exercising, but I haven't ever started that series.
Well, you're in for a treat.
I did see. Did you see the remix where they put the Pauly guy? I guess is his name, where he was like driving a shuttlecraft and like the Klingons were after him. That was really funny.
There's a whole channel that puts The Sopranos in Star Trek Next Generation.
Wow.
Yeah.
What a crossover.
It's great because they did the Tony speech. I thought about sending it to you, but I realized you didn't watch The Sopranos. But like the Tony speech where he's like demanding more income from the capos. And, it's like they got pictures of Worf looking uncomfortable.
Yeah. Oh, that reminds me. Remind me after we're done recording. I found it. I didn't know if you'd enjoy it or not, but all the like really hardcore gangster rap, they used AI to make it like a Bing Crosby Christmas songs. I don't know if you've seen that.
Posted that to
you
Teams.
posted one.
Oh, I did? Okay.
Yeah.
I couldn't remember if I did that. I thought I had not posted that because no one said anything, I guess. That's why I don't remember it.
Well, in Vietnam, here in America, if you're violent, that's one thing. But financial crimes, we're never going to take it this far with financial crimes. But in Vietnam, they're like, you affected a lot of people negatively. You got to get the worst punishment.
Death sentence upheld for property tycoon in Vietnam unless she pays $9 billion before execution.
Wow, they didn't play.
It turns out, well, she stole or mishandled $12 billion. And it turns out she actually does have this in real estate and other holdings, but these are illiquid assets. And so she's jockeying for time to liquidate her assets so she could get maximum value out of them versus fire sale, which could, lower the value if she suddenly dumps a bunch of real estate and everything else.
I think it might have been more than 12 billion because wasn't 9 billion 20% of the total?
Oh, wow.
I thought it was 20% off the top.
27 billion.
Oh, okay. And she embezzled $12.5 billion.
6% of the country's GDP. So yeah, she's probably not going to be killed because she'll be able to pay that back if she sells some stuff. But she's already doing a life sentence on another fraud charge.
Wow.
That's an astonishing level of fraud.
I saw this headline and I didn't see the Japan part, and I was like, it's the license joke again, right?
Yeah.
But no, this time it's Japan.
Replica Harry Potter swords broke Japanese weapons law. These were the ones that were actually sold by Warner Brothers in their stores in Japan. And it took them about 6 months. But yeah, it turns out they're sharp enough to actually be considered real swords, even though they're made out of incredibly soft metal.
Not glorious Nippon steel.
Yeah, so I don't think that this is this is a sign that maybe the law in Japan is a bit overreaching because they're not even very good quality.
I mean, they can still cut you.
Well, once maybe, and then they
and they're dulled down completely.
Yeah, it's like aluminum foil. As soon as it hits a bone, it's not. You're done.
Well, but once you get to the bone, there's been some
Then you start
damage.
sawing.
Yeah, basically.
And the China-Hong Kong situation, Hong Kong has fallen. They now follow all the same rules of the CCP, and they are very, very sensitive about certain topics.
Cathay Pacific apologizes over in-flight Family Guy episode with a Tiananmen Square scene.
I think it was 9 seconds.
Yeah. Oh, let's hope Osama bin Laden doesn't know show tunes.
Can you imagine that you're like the air nanny, the sky nanny, the stewardess.
Sky nanny.
You come around the corner and you see that and you're like, oh no.
But no, it was the people themselves.
Oh,
they were
they
upset about
complained.
it.
Wow.
Yeah, they were like, I can't believe that you would insult us like this. And so they immediately pulled that from the rotation. That episode will not be on anymore.
Disappointing. I mean, we tolerate there's a lot of stuff worse than that about 9/11 and Family Guy, and it's fine.
I mean, there were probably jokes the day of.
Before, actually.
Yeah, before. Weirdly.
There literally was a joke like Stewie is bringing weapons through security, and he distracts them by singing. And then as he gets through, he literally says, "Let's hope Osama bin Laden doesn't know show tunes." And that was well before 9/11.
Now, I make the observation a lot of times, and some people I think find it hard to believe, that geography can impede or capture culture. Like the mountains of eastern Kentucky.
Yeah, it's like a black hole. It's becoming more like open to the outside, but it's a different.
Pre-internet, it was way more
There
extreme.
were some weird customs, yeah.
And things didn't get in, like new ideas, fashion.
We were talking about boy bands.
Yeah.
And I said when I moved here from Washington, like the boy band scene was totally different in Eastern Kentucky.
And so here we have a German island, and just from being an island, they have really hung on. They have cultures that would not float anywhere else in the country.
A German island is going to end its ritual of spanking women with a cow horn. It is a centuries-old tradition.
So the game here is all the young boys, unmarried boys, they dress up in these. What would you call
Whatever
that?
this is.
Yeah. And they like fight in the town square.
Okay.
And there's a winner, and then whatever. So then after that's done, they all
What
roam.
is Germany?
They roam through the island, the entire island, and if a young girl is caught, she's beaten with a cow horn.
Well, it's spanked on it's playful probably. I don't think it's terribly violent.
Yeah, I'm sure young boys wouldn't get caught up in the moment.
Yeah.
They wouldn't act out their revenge fantasies for all the rejections they've experienced.
Certainly taking part in a ritual like this.
So it's interesting, they interviewed some of these girls and they were like, listen, don't give anybody my name, because if I tell you this, I will be shunned. Like it's, the whole like
Insular community.
island culture thing. But somebody made a documentary about it, and now there's an uproar.
As I was reading that part, I was thinking Hot Fuzz. like not Hot Fuzz. Is it Hot Fuzz? The one where Simon Pegg's in they literally are murdering people.
Yeah, you're right. Wait, yes. Yes.
I've never seen
Yes. Watch, we'll both be wrong.
it. Isn't it the zombie movie?
No, that's a different one.
Okay.
It's Hot Fuzz.
Well, speaking of older entertainment, something that could never survive in the modern world. It's weird how this wasn't that long ago, and it was a totally different reality.
The headline is Girls Gone Wild founder Joe Francis doesn't feel bad for videos as he says the women victimized him. No.
Now, how would women victimize Joe Francis? By not telling him that they were underage before he filmed them nude. How dare they?
There's so much Dark Krista content this week that I just have to keep bottled up.
YouTube doesn't appreciate
It
Dark
doesn't.
Krista at all. Joe Francis is now living in Mexico because there are warrants for his arrest in the United States. And here's something that I always assumed was true, right? Did you think this?
I thought it was.
It is. I don't care. Like,
I mean,
this is,
in the Navy,
come on.
I thought it was just, it's like not necessarily what it says in the headline, but it was just like a freedom of that type to just, whatever, enjoy, go, whatever. It's a modern
Please
world.
pay me royalties.
Village People singer defends Trump's use of Y.M.C.A. and says the song is not, in fact, a gay anthem.
It is a little curious.
do you?
Yeah. See, it's not anthem. Anthem is too strong of a word. Perhaps a.
It is commonly used by the gay community.
But here's the thing, right? Now, I'm a big believer that the creator of something gets to control it, right?
Yeah.
That's why I say GIF.
Yeah.
Even though so many people are against that. That guy who named it,
GIF.
he said it was GIF. But can you make this statement when reality is so obviously, like, it's been used for that purpose? Now, why would this guy come out and say that? well, maybe this graph.
I need royalties.
That line is perhaps even more vertical than the American inflation vertical line.
What happened here?
The housing
Was
bubble?
that in June? That might have been Gay Pride Month.
No, that's like
was it by year?
2020. That's the first round of money printing.
But yeah, he encouraged, and they do point out that Trump paid the licensing fee to use that.
That's good. I guess they learned their lesson there.
I didn't do a separate design section this week. I just tossed this in. This is poop.
This is terrible.
This is
I also
color
saw
of-
this and went, oh.
That looks like a really bad drunk morning, hangover morning right there.
Unpretentious Mocha Mousse named Pantone's color of the year. Is this what you're supposed to paint your kitchen?
I mean, it's fine. It's like, it's inoffensive. It's just boring. This year's was like peach. It's like a bright pinky peach color.
I had a
Now it's going to be this.
a small room that's used as a closet that had burlap wallpaper that was that color, and I was like, oh, I'm finally taking this down.
Put it back.
Put it back. Yeah, it's Pantone color of the year.
Just like burlap wallpaper, this wasn't in style when it went up in the 60s.
I like, I think it's called like some sort of like grass wallpaper. I like the texture of that, but it does not do well in any kind of humidity. So
Just put some dirt on your walls.
I can definitely
Mud.
smell the past 60 years in the wallpaper.
Probably a lot of smoke.
Yeah.
And here is another of the year.
The Telegraph's headline is Muhammad is the most popular baby name for boys for the first time. Although one of the comments here linked to another article that said that various spellings of Muhammad, if you combined them, would have made it the most popular name last year. But now this particular spelling is the
This is
number
the
one.
most popular.
Is that a traditional English name?
It's not. That's so strange. I wonder why that would be. Do you think there's any assimilation not going on that should be? Maybe?
Maybe they're just named it after the grandfather and his grandfather.
Well, that's
and the
another-
grandfather before.
That's another weird. Well, yeah, there probably is some of that, but that's another weird thing. Like they all want to name their kid after the prophet, right? What is that about?
Is that happening everywhere?
I don't see too many Jesuses running around,
You see Joshua's though.
and
Yeshua.
Peters and Pauls, and
Yeah.
yeah. I mean, I guess we have a larger pool to choose from.
Yeah.
perhaps. It's a little narcissistic, if you ask me. Either way. And here's the meme of "kill it with fire." All right, maybe this shows the danger of memes. Don't always take them literally.
Man sets forest ablaze after trying to light spider on fire. Wyoming officials caution against that.
While
Yes.
crying internally.
Especially in a dry forest, and especially in the middle of winter where rain is probably not going to come.
My favorite comment from this article was some kind of game warden they were interviewing. He was like, "If you want to burn spiders, build a fire ring first." Like, not don't burn spiders.
I mean, they'll probably be in your firewood anyway. You'll see if a couple of them jump out.
And apparently, Japan is having a huge bear problem. Have you been reading about this?
Yeah.
I follow a homeless dude in Japan who he drives around on a moped. And whenever he goes into the mountains, he's constantly terrified because the bears are a real issue in some parts of rural Japan.
Bear attacks worker and then ransacks the meat section in a Japanese supermarket in a rampage.
Now,
Look at him running away.
it took 3 days for them to get this bear out of that supermarket. There's got to be footage of that, right? I
Yeah.
want to see it. I want to see what he was up to all day.
Japanese people are not hip to the trank darts. The trank darts are very
The
effective.
drones.
They went in. The riot police went in with shields up against him.
They didn't have animal control?
Trank darts are so much more safe in this kind of a scenario.
See, I think with rural Japan, like, it gets really rural.
It's like the equivalent of Eastern Kentucky if a bear wandered into a Piggly Wiggly.
We've got both 0 gauge and 22 gauge trank darts. That's not a problem.
Unfortunately, they did euthanize the bear.
Well,
A fed bear is a dead bear.
we've got a different gauge for that.
He attacked a dude. He clawed a dude's head. Yeah, I don't know why they didn't just go in with force then if that was going to be the
Yeah.
outcome, right? Like, why wait the 3 days? And here's something that the whales are doing that they've done before but gave up. Do you think that, like, maybe this is in response to what happened this week? Is this their way of...
Celebrating.
Scientists baffled as orcas seem to be reviving a 1980s trend, dead salmon hats.
I haven't seen this on What the Frock. or any of the other fashion coverage.
So no one has any idea why they would do this. The best guess they have is just a snack for later.
That makes sense. It's like keeping some fruit snacks in your pocket.
Exactly like that. Going on a long trip, take a salmon with you.
It's the ocean Buc-ee's.
Except cheaper.
There have been some troubling reports that say that the ocean current collapse is imminent, and so perhaps that is a portent of that.
Did you see there was a big earthquake, too, right off the coast of California the other day?
No tsunami, though.
No tsunami.
Yeah, thank goodness.
But this happened in the 80s.
We had some pretty crazy stuff going on climatologically in the 80s as well.
Maybe they're just trying to jump on the Gen Z trends, and they're like, oh, everything from like the 80s and 90s is new again.
And the more on top haircut.
Yeah, they go for the broccoli hair, but it's the salmon.
Was it crazy warming in the 80s, and then like Mount St. Helens like sort of solved it for a little while?
According to Al Gore,
yeah,
we should all be dead from those times.
Just in general.
Well, I mean, Japanese man-bear pig was certainly out for blood.
Well, look, the bears it's all coming to fruition. And this one, our final story, is just the most adorable pictures you've ever seen. And I love that they've got the happy hoodie, like the girl with the dogs.
When sheep fly, herd takes helicopter to new Texas home. They moved 80 sheep like this, apparently. 80.
Seems wildly expensive.
40 of each gender. And this was the most economical way to just...
This is like me picking up Cricket and taking him places he doesn't want to go.
Now, they claim that if you put blindfolds on these creatures, they become immediately docile. But they look drugged right here, right?
Yeah,
that's got to be
They
a drug.
almost certainly, I would think, to move them so they're not freaking out.
I don't know the blindfold had a lot to do with that.
If this species had writing, there would be religious texts written about this experience.
The time they went to the sky.
And they're moving them just across a mountain range because somebody figured out, like, we should move at least 40 of them to get critical mass.
Because those are OG habitat like a bazillion years ago that we apparently hunted them to extinction in the 1800s. So we're trying to put them back because it was...
I do not see it.
It was very bad for the ecology in that area to not have them there.
There's no way that thing's awake. But what do you think that cost? You had to make, at least that 3 at a time. That's a lot of trips.
Yeah, a lot of fuel. Probably at least 4 or 5 refueling stops. But if it turns that area into more of a preserve and nature takes its course and blah, 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 maybe it's worth it.
What if
There's worse things that we use our money on, see insurance.
What if some of those super sheep get in there? They'll all be for naught.
They'll outbreed and replace the sheep that are there. It's possible, I suppose.
Well,
that's it. That's the last story. Just be thinking about those sheep.
And enjoy your upcoming holiday, whatever your holiday might be. And remember, don't do anything extreme. Even though that seems like that might actually change the world for the better, don't do it.
Just think about it a little bit. And have a little smile on your face during your Christmas. Bye.
Store at level1text.com.